Good afternoon. So hopefully you guys can see me clearly. 1 second, please. 1 second. Let me close this. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Facebook Live today. I'm going to be short, sharp, and swift. And the reason why I'm coming live today is because I want to highlight a few things. And there are a few things that are happening today in the Gambia. The real-time Gambia situation is getting worse by the day, actually. So I decided that I was going to come and discuss these issues with you real time, so you guys can know how our society is disintegrating. But recently I've seen some signs of improvement from the Barrow government. And it's a sign that they're either listening and they genuinely want to make change, or it's election year and they want people basically to believe that they want to bring about meaningful change. Now, the reason I'm saying that is most of the things Gambians are complaining about today, matters such as security, the hiking of food prices, the dangers in our streets, in broad daylight, loss of sovereignty, loss of territorial integrity. The most important things that people are complaining about every single day, it appears, is getting to Barrow government at last. Now, I believe for 1 minute that the situation in the Gambia is fragile, is perilous in every single way. Some of the conditions we're living in are dangerous. The country is disintegrating in many, many, many different ways in different sectors. And I want to highlight those sectors quite quickly. So if you give me a second, let me make sure the audio is good. I'm hoping that all of you can hear me properly. And I'm hoping that you can see me clearly because I had the camera off at once. So I'm making sure that I'm trying to ensure the camera is on at real time and everyone can see it. Okay, so now, what's the problem with Gambia? For those of you watching for the first time, I support the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction. Short is APRC. This is the party that was led by Yahya Jammeh from 1996 to January 2017. I support this political party because once I found out what was actually happening in Gambia in December 2016 and January 2017, I realized how much this political party has done for the small person, for the underdog, for the underprivileged, for the unconnected people of the Gambia. And not only Gambia, and this is where Jammeh will excel in time. In years to come, people will celebrate him for what he done, not just for Gambian people, for the sub-regional people of Africa. He stood up for Gambia, he stood up for Guinea, he stood up for Guinea-Bissau, he stood up for Senegal, for Mauritania, for Mali, for Ivory Coast, for every other single citizen of the West African continent. And this is not just talk. It's not just trash talk. I'm telling you the truth because that man was involved in the fight against many things that are debilitating the sub-region, the West African sub-region. He stood up, fought, supported, gave moral support, participated unilaterally, brought peace to millions of people in the West African region. But let's go back to Gambia. And we start with the fact that as Gambians, right, Gambian citizens, Gambian residents, because Gambia has got a large population of non-Gambians who live in the Gambia right now. So when we're talking about Gambians, we're actually talking about Gambians and non-Gambians who currently live in the Gambia, but also includes Gambians in the diaspora. Now, first and foremost, Gambia government changed in January 2017. The coalition government, which replaced Jammeh, I'm not going to say defeated Jammeh at the polls because that now is still in the hands of the jury. The jury will have to decide whether the APRC actually won the election in December 2016. As an APRC supporter, based on the evidence that I've seen, I can convince myself that the election in December 2016 was not won by the coalition party. But they never gave us that opportunity to know whether they clearly won the election in December 2016. As far as we're concerned, that election was not won by the coalition party. When APRC disputed the election results, the coalition party refused to entertain the election petition to be heard at the Supreme Court of the Gambia. They put every single roadblock in our way. They didn't want the APRC party to be heard in court. Instead, what did the coalition party do? Go to their masters via Senegal. Senegal was just a conduit. Senegal was just a cable that transmitted the desire to remove Jammeh from the imperialists to the Gambian people. And unfortunately, if you want to destroy Africa, you don't even need white people in boots to land their feet on Gambian soil, on any African soil. They use African people to destroy African people and Africa. That's been the game. It's been a 454-year-old game where they use the black man against the black man. And often the case is an African against an African. As soon as you have an African leader who stands up for their people, who fights for the underdog, who fights for the average Joe, the ordinary citizen of the land, the ordinary citizen who's not privileged, not connected, the imperialists will come down like tons of bricks, especially in cases where they know that this particular country has huge reserves in terms of gold, in terms of diamond, in terms of gas, in terms of oil. They will do every single thing possible to come down on that particular president with all sorts of allegations. First, this is what they do first. If they know that the country is blessed with umpteenth, large amounts of reserves, natural resources, minerals, they'll try and negotiate and tuck their fangs in, get the contracts, get the deals. That's what they do first. They negotiate. And if that leader of a country is as smart as Jammeh was, or is as smart as Thomas Sankara was, or is as smart as Lumumba was, or is as smart as Magafuli was, or is as smart as Kwame Nkrumah was, or is as smart as Modibo Keita was, they will say no. If the deals are unconscionable from the beginning, they will reject them. It's only stupid African leaders who've accepted business deals at the rate of 0.00 something for the benefit of their people, 1 point something percent for the benefit of their people, 5% for the benefit of their people, 10% if the white man is generous. That would be counted as the best deal you can get out of African people for their own resources. That's the best deal. In African countries, everywhere you have oil now in Africa, discount Libya under Gaddafi was different. Every other oil deal we have on the African continent, gold deal, diamond deal, bauxite deal, any single resource we have right now, including fish in the Gambia, and I'll come to that in a minute, because the EU is afraid of Yahya Jammeh's return to the Gambia. They're afraid. Their fear of Jammeh's return is palpable. You can feel it. They're getting involved in Gambian internal politics, and the EU and the UN were not supposed to do that. They were not supposed to get involved in Gambia's internal politics. But what's happening now in the Gambia is the total opposite, because they have their puppet running the Gambia now, like they have their puppet running Senegal, and it looks like they have their puppet running Guinea-Bissau now. And this story is perennial, is consistent, is widespread throughout all the French-speaking countries in Africa. Francophone Africa is all controlled by France. France makes between 400 to 800 billion euros a year from poor African nations who cannot provide food security for their citizens, who cannot provide medical services to their people, decent medical services to their people, who can't provide security to their people, who can't construct decent infrastructure for their people. Imagine 400 to 800 billion euros a year. A poor person taking it from their coffers, taking it from their resources to give it to a wealthy nation like France. But that's what the Francophone Africa has been doing since the 1960s when they gained independence. And any leader of those countries that attempted to cut that vein that exploitation, that parasitism. No, in fact, in the laws of nature, this is not parasitism, it's cannibalism. Because parasitism would seem as if it's a weaker species depending on the bigger species. In Francis' case, they are the bigger species depending on the weaker, vulnerable one. That's cannibalism. We're here. What are they trying to do now? They're crossing the border for manipulating, exploiting, extorting their former colonies. They're crossing the border into English-speaking nations like the Gambia. And now they're going into a Portuguese-speaking nation like Guinea-Bissau. The same EU is standing up on that platform and telling Gambian people, your most illustrious son in history. There's no Gambian who's more famous than Yahya Jammeh today, globally. None of them. In fact, if the EU wants to be relevant, or any other Gambian media wants to be relevant, or even Senegalese media, even the Senegalese president, if he wants to be relevant outside of the Gambia, he needed to mention only one name, and that name is Yahya Jammeh. That's the only name they need to mention to become relevant, to sell newspaper headlines, to become like the lions that killed the lion that left before they even got there to hunt that lion. The EU is telling Gambian people that your own citizen cannot return to your country, knowing fully well I did EU law, and I did very well in EU law. No country on earth can ever refuse the return of their citizen. No country on earth. If you have any issues with that citizen, take whatever action you wish to take against that particular citizen. You cannot turn your citizen away from their country. Nobody is allowed to go stateless. UN Charter, the EU, their articles, memorandum of understanding, every single thing. No country on earth can deny the return of their citizen, let alone that country's most illustrious citizen, Yahya Jammeh. They hated Jammeh like poison. Why? Because of his rhetoric against same-sex relationship. But before that, in 2011, his rhetoric against same-sex relationships was about 2014, 2015. Islamic State was 2015, 2016. So they're using that as cover for what they hated Yahya Jammeh for. And I can tell you what they disliked the man for. And they told him, we're going to change your regime around about 2009 to 2011. At that point, he never made any rhetoric against gay people. He never made any rhetoric against a democratic, secular Gambian state. That was before he pulled out of the Commonwealth. That was before he declared Gambia an Islamic state. They said to him, we'll change your regime. You know why? That's when oil exploration was done in the Gambia, and they discovered that we had very rich blocks of oil in our country. And they wanted that 1.something%, 5% deal, and Jammeh said, no. Our resources have remained untapped for a very long time. Our environment is rich. We're not going to allow you to come and tap our resources, damage our environment in the same place, and then give us just 1.something% of our own oil, 5% of our own oil. They turned around and told him, well, if you don't accept this, we're going to change your regime. 2009 to 2011. Since then, it's been constant attack, armed attacks, rebel after rebel, rebellion after rebellion, coup attempt after coup attempt. The amount of coup attempts that Jammeh faced between 2009 and the day he left, which was still a coup. January 2017, Jammeh's departure was a coup because our constitution stipulated the provisions that must be followed to the letter if there's an election petition, if there was an election dispute. The coalition party and their imperialists, their masters, the people they turned around and kissed their ears, sat there and said that election petition will not be heard. They refused for Jammeh's election petition to be heard. It would have been cheaper, faster, easier for the judges to be allocated. The judges were already allocated way back in September actually, before Gambia even thought about going to the polls. The Commonwealth judges were coming to the Gambia, but for some administrative errors or delays, They couldn't come to the Gambia before the election. So therefore, would it have been easier if those judges came to the Gambia to hear the election petition than amassing forces, creating or generating funds to give to those forces to go to the Gambia and pulverize our nation, destroy our nation, and hell, our big brother Senegal? That's what they wanted in the first place. They have been jealous of the unprecedented development that Gambia experienced between 1994 to 2017 or 2016, I would say. Our big brother Senegal has been jealous, insanely envious of the unprecedented development that Jammeh brought for the Gambian people between 1994 and 2016. In fact, they said they made no secret, Senegal made no secret, that they missed a great opportunity to annex Gambia to Senegal in 1981. They had the opportunity, they blew it. That's what Senegal said. They missed a great opportunity to annex Gambia to Senegal. And therefore, that opportunity presented itself in 2016. And the imperialists who always wanted Gambian oil and promised Jammeh that we're going to change your regime, after failing at the barrel of the gun, found out that this is a perfect opportunity for us now to refuse that election petition from going to court. Because if it then went to court, those Commonwealth judges that were allocated to the Gambia would have decided in favor of the APRC, and there wouldn't have been a regime change, which meant they still had to pay Gambia the right price for our oil, the right price for our fish. Look at what EU is doing to our fish right now. Who's selling our fishing licenses on behalf of Gambia government? Senegal. Who's making deals, oil deals on behalf of Gambia? Senegal. Who's providing our security? Senegal. Who's our economic arm? Senegal. Who's our president being guarded by? Senegal. Who's monitoring our territory every single day, interfering, intruding, shooting Gambian people, maiming Gambian people every day? Senegal. They're encroaching every single minute on anything that made us sovereign. Gambia is no longer a sovereign state. Even Gambia's president's bodyguards are Senegalese. There are no official state secrets anymore. There's no sovereignty. There's no territorial integrity. Look, I've said this before. Barrow can still succeed, but not with the deadwood that surrounds him right now. He needs to revamp his surrounding completely. The way I see Barrow is, he's just a figurehead president. The man has got capacity issues. He knows very little. Unfortunately, the so-called intellectuals that surround him are only there for their own benefit. They don't think about the nation. They don't think about the population. They don't think about the facilities that keep our lives ticking. And right now, our country is doomed. Seriously, you can blame Barrow all you want. Yes, he didn't have capacity. UDP gave us Barrow. They made him a flag bearer, and in OJ's own words, Omar Jallo's own words, if they didn't pick a UDP candidate to lead the coalition, UDP would have pulled out. They wouldn't have complied with the coalition memorandum of understanding, the agreement that brought them together. That's what OJ said. The same thing is being echoed by other parties, that if they didn't settle that coalition party leadership with a UDP candidate, the coalition would have disintegrated before the polls. So UDP gave us Barrow, knowing fully well that the man was not up there in terms of capacity to run a unit, let alone a department, was running a nation. Yes, presidents are figureheads in most of the times, but the presidents that succeeded are also very smart, very clever, very intelligent. You can have all the bad advices around you. If you're an intelligent president, you will know how to counter them most of the time. Yes, you cannot physically be there all the time, and you cannot stop everyone 100%. There's corruption even in the United Kingdom. There's corruption in the United States. But the African corruption is at a level that should never be accepted at this current rate in Barrow government. Never. Because the Barrow government is not changing the lives of the ordinary people. This is what it's all about. It's not about a privileged few. It's not about an educated few. It's about the masses who are not educated, who are vulnerable, who are unemployed, who are sick, who want to be educated. That's what this is all about. The African man needs to understand that's one thing to be proud of once you've been put in public place. And that pride should come from the fact that you transformed the lives of your people. And this is why Gambian people can no longer hate Yahya Jammeh. Even people who hated him before 2017 can no longer hate the man. The people who always knew what he was love him more today than at any time in his existence. People love him more now when he's not in office than when he was in office, because people have now seen the difference. People have now seen the truth. People have now seen what a true leader looks like. People have now seen what a true government does to the average person. Not to the privileged, not to the lucky few, not to the connected few. Selective justice everywhere in the Gambia, conflict of interest everywhere. They don't care. These people are only interested in political justice. They're not interested in legal justice. They're not interested in any sort of adjudication as long as their family members are involved. If it's not their family members or friends, they'll clamp down on you, even if the offense you committed is as minor as the offense that their family members and friends are committing on a daily basis. So here we are. The EU says, yeah, Jammeh cannot return because it's not somebody who's committed gross human rights violation. Yeah. So what? He's Gambian. Are you telling me that Gambian citizens should be kicked out when they try to return to the Gambia? Which EU country does that? There's not a single European Union country that turns their citizen away. They'll only tell that to the black man just to punish the black man because they know we are fools. We accept everything and we swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Every time they fling that hook, we jump and bite it even when there's no bait on it. That's what the black man does. We are so backward. We are so deprived mentally. It's unbelievable. And it's our intellectuals who are there fooling people, killing people, directly or indirectly. They've let us down time and time again. Every African country that experienced a rapid rise from the bottom to the top has been run by a revolutionary who refused to bow down to the imperialist, who wanted more for his people, over their resources especially. We own the gold, we own the diamond, we own oil. If you don't want to pay us a good price, go. Don't create commotion in our country. Don't put the people at loggerhead. Don't stir up trouble. And this, I'm afraid, brothers and sisters, that's where the EU and the TRRC is pushing us to. Trouble. Because Gambia's got oil. They're telling us they can't find the oil anymore. It's disappeared. I've heard Jammeh say that before, that he's the one that will extract the oil. These people will go there and they'll not see it. So maybe that's true prophecy. But in my cynical view, these people know there's oil. Guinea-Bissau cannot have a lot of oil. Senegal cannot have a lot of oil. We share the same basin, river basin, underground sources. They have oil. Guinea-Bissau has got oil. Senegal has got oil. These two hands, Senegal's got oil. Guinea-Bissau has got oil. In between that is Gambia. We share the same underground sources, but they're telling us that Gambia has got no oil. They haven't discovered oil. BP gave Barrow government 15 million to explore our oil for 10 years before they actually start agreeing contract terms if they find the oil there. How do we know they haven't found the oil? How do you know they're not siphoning it? How do you know they're not extracting it in the cover of dark? Since our Navy, we have got no capacity to monitor our seas. And this is where the EU fish deal and the Chinese and the Senegalese are absolutely plundering our resources, destroying our nation. They're destroying our environment, destroying our resources, and we're getting nothing out of it. In that case, we should just behave like Yahya Jammeh. If you don't pay us a good price, leave our resources untapped. That's what he told them. It's as simple as that. Don't create trouble. Look at Libya, Arab Spring, all the countries that turned and protested and changed their leaders. They're not at war today. Libya's at war. What's in Libya? Tons of gold left behind by Gaddafi. Loads of oil left behind by Gaddafi. Who went in there to try and change Gaddafi? France leading the EU, the England and the United States. They went to remove Gaddafi. Who's got Libyan oil now? Nobody knows because they're fighting. The rebels who once controlled that area are probably giving it away for free, for peanuts. The Libyan government, there's no such thing as a Libyan government anymore. Mozambique is the most recent example of how these imperialists come and get us fighting so that in the cover of dark, they can take every single thing that belongs to us. Who's in Mozambique? Total, the French company. Who's in Senegal? Total, the French company. You saw Senegalese gas and oil fields catching fire. Senegalese complaining that they go and work 10, 15, 16 hours in the gas fields that they were never told that Senegal was rich in gas reserves. They're not paying them any money. They're extorting. They're exploiting these people. Now they're telling Gambian people that your own son, and you know, some of you jubilating it think this is about Jammeh. No, this is about the African man, the black man, the Gambian. The rules that have been set for our people. They're telling you, black man, you're worthless. Whatever we tell you, you got to play that game. You got to play by our rules. Well, Jammeh refused it. They froze 150 million euros from Jammeh because he refused to play ball with them. He refused to play the game of chicken with the European Union. He expelled their commissioner because they wanted to do exactly what they're doing to Barrow now. They gave us 3 million euros. Imagine this, brothers and sisters. 3 million euros for 6 years to take tons and tons of tuna and hake from our sea, something they could be making 100 million a year. We can't monitor it. The amount of tons we agreed for them to take from our seas, what capability have we got to monitor it? The sea shepherd who's helping us now and again with the Chinese trawlers, they're not going to stop the EU boats. No. But if we want to see what the imperials are doing to the African continent, it's been a long game, this. It's been an old dog game. Why we're still biting the hook, why we're still eating the poison, why we're still killing ourselves is beyond me. But when people like me come and tell African people what's going on, oh, he's APRC, don't listen to him. Shoot the messenger. You don't want to listen to the message, shoot the messenger. Ladies and gentlemen, the EU, France, let's be honest, this is all about France, because most of these EU countries don't have connections with their former Francophone countries or Gambia. It's France that's going in the cover of the EU. You know how greedy the French are with fish. They've been having issues with Spain. They've been having issues with the English people and the Scottish and the Irish people over fishing rights. Because the French people love fish. They're poor. They can't feed themselves. They depleted their own resources. Their own prime minister told them, the president told them, without African countries, the Francophone, former French colonies, France will be a third world country. Broke, dead, just like Africa. He told them, without their former colonies in Africa, France will be a third world country. We'll be competing with Gambia. So therefore, if you come in and you want to cut that source of income for the French, they kill you. They overthrow you. 22, 23 presidents, if we add Jammeh to it, because France was the leader. You saw Holland when he ran into Gambia quickly to pick up Barrow and help him. Yeah? Ferry him to Mali quickly. The French took Barrow and his people, crooks, to Mali. From that meeting, they went and hid him in Senegal, where the plot is all hatched. You saw Alpha Condé telling people that the problems in Africa, most of them are hatched. Well, in our sub-region, Gambia, Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, the two Guineas, our problems are always hatched in Senegal. The puppet, that's the proxy war that France is fighting against their nations. The plots are hatched in Senegal because the black Senegalese think they're white French in the head. Outside they're black, in the head they think they're French. Unfortunately, like I said before, I don't have problems with Senegalese people. If our fish is being taken to feed Senegalese people, hooray, I love that. Senegalese, our brothers and sisters, we're exactly the same culturally, language-wise, practices, every single thing. If the Senegalese population eats our fish, yay, why not? I don't have problems with that. But what they're doing is they take our resources, instead of giving it to the Senegalese population, they're taking it to France, to the EU. They're selling our fishing licenses. They're selling our oil licenses. They're doing everything on behalf of the Gambia at a huge, huge, debilitating, economic busting price. And this price, unfortunately, we will pay for a long time. You've seen the Gambian economy for the first time since 1994 is going into minus growth figures, minus 1.5 of the GDP, which means those of you who don't know how the GDP works, our economy has gone down to the previous indicators. So if our GDP was set at 80%, for example, let me give you an example, and it was growing to 85%. What it's done now is gone down to 78.5%, way below what it's supposed to be. This is the fastest, largest shrinking in our economy since 1994. And the effects of it are everywhere. Inflation, prices gone through the roof. Gambia government cannot pay salaries. The army wasn't paid salaries until days later. 50% of our civil servants are not paid as we speak today, several days after their pay was due. And this is not the first time. Last year and the year before, they were struggling to pay new teachers. They were struggling to pay the nurses' allowances. They've embezzled all the funds. They've destroyed most of the arms of our economy for the sake of Senegal. Cashew trade, embargo. Oil trade, embargo. Security, embargo. Every single thing that Gambia government was benefiting from, they've cut the arm, they've cut the feeding tube. I said this before on the Binto Bantaba network. If you cannot produce the goods, you cannot determine their prices. So therefore, as we've stopped the agricultural produce from Jame completely, and before they used to say Jame put his fingers in every pie. He wanted to be a bread trader, he wanted to be a mango trader, he wanted to be a cattle farmer, he wanted to be sheep farmer. Little did they know that Jame was doing this to help Gambians in general, to keep the market prices down. So now, the beef that was going into our market, 7,000 heads of cattle a year, that beef is gone. The sheep that was going into our market, 7,000, 3,000, 10,000 sheep that it was flooding in our market, mutton, that is gone. The bread that Kanilai family farm was bringing to our market to keep things down is gone. Other agricultural produce like rice that Jame was producing is gone. So what do? Import it to meet the market demand. And if you import meat, rice, onion, Irish potato, vegetable cooking oil from elsewhere, you pay the same price as England, you pay the same price as the United States, and therefore those prices, considering the average Gambian earns less than $50 a month, those prices cannot be afforded by the Gambian population, where 60–70% of the people are unemployed. This is why our prices are skyrocketing, because we cannot produce the goods. Therefore, if we're going outside to buy the goods in the World Trade Organization, in World Trade Zones, we have to pay the same price as Japan, China, UK, United States, and other people. We cannot control the prices of things we don't produce. Simple economic policy, simple economic principle. You have a lot of demand, but less supply. Because what we're importing is not enough to feed the Gambian people. And you've seen the price of cement. That's the exact game they're playing with Gambian people. They're telling Gambian people cement is short. All right? We can't have enough cement. So therefore, we're going to increase the prices because there are few people who can import it now at the cost at which it's being sold overseas, which is true. There's a delay in maritime activities, shipping world. So therefore, if you're importing cement from outside, and very few people doing it, they play the game, supply less to the market, you make the consumers desperate, and then you can raise the price, and the consumers will have no option but to buy the product at that price. And that's extortion, racketeering, money laundering close to it. Yes, it will not be money laundering because it's a man and his product. You buy it or you leave it. Take it or leave it. So the EU, France, other people can come and tell Gambian people that your own citizen cannot return to your country because they want people who don't like Jammeh to start jubilating. Little did they know, one day their fathers will become presidents or ministers and the same game will be played. Let's stop changing the rules. I've said this time and time again. Let not our laws change because somebody we're dealing with right now is the most hated. Let's not our laws change because the person they're dealing with now is somebody we don't like. The laws must remain the same and constant and must be applied fairly. Equality before the law. I said this time and time again, brothers and sisters, let's stop believing in people outside who have no interest. Look, if the EU, the UN, the United States, UK wanted Gambia to develop, they would have developed Gambia in the space of 10 years. Gambia will be a high-income country. Magufuli did that for Tanzania. In 5 years, he took Tanzania from a low-income economy to a middle-income economy. With the little that Tanzania has, he just made sure all the Tanzanian resources were processed inland, in-house, and then sold outside. So therefore, if EU, US, UN, UK want the Gambia to be developed in 5 years, they can do it. In 10 years, definite. They don't want to do that. They want to continue telling you what to do in your country for the sake of the resources they get out of your country. If you don't do it, they'll send the jackals on the ground, and the jackals, sadly, have got black faces like mine. They go to my brother and say to him, kill your brother and we'll give you $1 million, or we'll make you president, or we'll give you $100,000. Your brother is bad. That's what they did to Thomas Sankara. Blaise Compaoré grew up in the same house with Thomas Sankara. They told him to kill Sankara because within 3 years of Sankara being in government, they stopped taking loans from France. They stopped depositing their reserves in France. They built their own railway. They became food self-sufficient. They had surplus food like Libya was in the 90s. They told Blaise Compaoré, your brother Thomas Sankara is a bad man here and there, and I kill him and we'll make you a president and this and that, will give you this and this and that. Where did Burkina Faso's industries go? In the drain. Modibo Keita, the same. Sekou Touré, you know what they did? They allegedly went and poured concrete in their sewerage and drainage system because of anger that Sekou Touré will not bow down and give them his ass to screw. You can mention the others. Lumumba, we all know, suffered the most disgraceful execution, assassination on African soil. The worst. 5 million is population killed by Belgians, French Belgians. Central African Republic, Rwanda. You just name them endless, brothers and sisters. Modibo Keita, what did he do? As soon as he started pulling himself from the Francophone zone, the CFA zone, gone. Brothers and sisters, look at Mozambique today. Mozambique is not a Muslim country. What are jihadists doing there? Never had problems until they found out they had loads of oil and gas. Terrorists are there. Mali has 50 gold mines. Where are the French forces stationed? In the gold mine areas, not in the other side near Mauritania, the barren end. They're stationed in the gold mine areas. That's where the French troops are. How come Mali's army cannot defend its own people? And he saw the UN report a few days ago. The French army killed 19 civilians, innocent civilians. They said those civilians are insurgents. The UN said it's not true. Those were innocent civilians killed by the French forces. France rejected the report. But the same EU, France, via Senegal, are telling us that the report coming from the TRRC is true. When the people, they killed themselves in cold blood. France is denying. But something they haven't seen Jammeh's government doing, they're saying, oh, the TRRC is right, so therefore Jammeh must not return to Gambian soil. Yeah, it's the black man, obviously. We've got people who bend over and get screwed from behind. Yeah, it's the black man. We'll swallow it. We'll get given BS. We'll get given garbage, hog feed, and we'll swallow it. We can never stand up and recognize when it's national interest and when it's political party interest. We have to fight ethnic fights first before we fight for the nation. This is African people. And if you think your ethnicity is better than the other one, why are you fighting for public services anyway? If you think your tribe is better than the other man's tribe, why are you fighting for public stuff? Because obviously, if your tribe is better than the other tribe, that means you were born rich, you were born sufficient. Your life is adequate. You don't need to fight with poor people for public services. Because your tribe is superior, you can benefit, you have everything. You're born royal. You have your mansions, you have your money, you have your own schools. Why are you fighting with the poor person? Because if you're fighting with the poor person, it means your tribe is not better than the other person's tribe. Where's the betterment then? Where's the class? Where's the caste system? Why are you fighting? You said your tribe is better. Privilege, royal. Why are you fighting with the commoner for crumbs, government crumbs? What for? Where is all this nonsense, stupidity, all this sort of buffoonery coming from? Oh, my tribe is better. Or that person from another tribe. They can never be president. Well, if I was wealthy and I was royal and my tribe was better, my family would have provided everything for me. I don't want to go and make myself dirty with commoners in government. I don't want to fight with commoners. I'll be dirty. I'll be smelly. I'll reduce my class if I fight with the commoners from the other tribes. Or the EU can tell Gambians that Jammeh cannot return because the EU wants to continue to exploit our fish. BP is on our oil fields, far limited. All the companies involved there are none of us, and they have a Gambian farmer negotiating our oil deals with Senegalese people, a poultry farmer or something. I can't remember the name of the farm. That's negotiating our oil deals. Somebody who can't even write a proper CV for himself is negotiating with Senegal. Senegal is doing it on our behalf. The only Gambian that they put at the forefront is a Gambian who's doing poultry farm or crop cultivation somewhere to go and negotiate our oil deals. Senegal has to do that. And for all you know, our payment will have to go through Senegal like our initial EU funds, 11 million euros that the EU first gave to Barrow government went through Senegal. The $11 million that they said Jammeh stole within 2 weeks is all rubbish. That's the money when they came in, they loaned each other money to buy houses. 150 million, 226 million, 500 million euros so far, if their announcements are correct. Forget about the World Bank money yet. Forget about the IMF money yet. Forget about the US money yet. These are the loans they announced. They kept on saying grants, grants, grants. 100 million euro from OIC, the Arab bloc they gave us for the OIC. It's only Barrow government that will build a quality road within the space of a year and having an election in between. I don't know how they're going to build those 2050 OIC roads in the space of a year and then host the conference successfully. They haven't even started building the hotels to host the guests because I think they need about 11,000 rooms, 5-star, 7-star, 6-star, whatever it was. How are they going to build those 2050 roads in the space of a year, quality roads in the space of a year? Where's the OIC money? Where are the hotels that are supposed to host these people? 11,000 5-star hotel rooms they're supposed to provide, if my records are correct, if I can recall properly. Brothers and sisters, whether you like Jammeh or not, there's a point at which we need to stop and tell these imperialists, you're crossing the line. Don't get involved in local politics. Leave it between us Gambians to do party politics. The EU is supposed to be in the Gambia to perform the function of foreign ambassadors in a nation. Facilitate the relationship between the Gambia and the EU and other places. They cannot tell us which Gambian citizen can come back and which one cannot come back. The Gambian citizens who have not committed any harm in Germany, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, other places are being rounded up and sent back to the Gambia. They didn't commit any crime. Innocent citizens, 20,000, they wanted to deport to the Gambia. Jammeh said no. And they said, oh, we're going to freeze your aid. But guess what? They're not telling us that's why Jammeh refused to take the aid because of deportation. They say, oh, because he said something about gay people. Oh, because of his human rights record. Oh, because he declared Gambia an Islamic state. No, that's the facade, brothers and sisters. That is not the true story. The true story is the oil. The true story is that Jammeh refused to accept Gambian deportation of Gambians, systematic deportation of Gambians in their droves. He refused it. And when they tried it and didn't inform his government, he sent the flights back. Oh, but to cover up, they have to say, oh, he said this about gay people. He said this about Islamic State. What Islamic State? Gambia was an Islamic state. Gambia left the Commonwealth, but Gambian people were not actually practicing strict Islamic law. People are going to churches as they were doing before that. People are going to mosque as they were doing before that. People are going to their own idol worship before, as they did before that. But they had to use that Islamic state and the same-sex relationship issue as cover for their intention to get their teeth on our fish, for their intention to put their nostrils on our oil wells. That's all they were interested in. They got all of that now. Plus, on top of that, they're telling you black guys that you cannot allow your citizens back, that you cannot rule for yourself, that the draft constitution that came must include rights for same-sex, rights for every other person. Yes, Jammeh said it crudely, but 95% of the Gambia are deeply conservative in their beliefs, culturally, traditionally. They're not going to allow certain things. I'm telling you that. Personally, I don't have problems. I don't care what anyone does anywhere in their privacy. But Gambian people are still deeply conservative, and they're not going to allow same-sex relationships, 95% of them. That's what they're saying every day in social media, on radios. Jammeh was just a mouthpiece telling you exactly what Gambians want you to hear. Oh, they're going to use that. Oh, same-sex or Islamic State. That's why we banned them. We refuse to give them the 150. No. The fact is, oil, since 2009, they want to demand out. There's been attack after attack against Jammeh, sponsored by dark forces, the imperialists. Oil, deportation, ended up being his undoing in the end. The imperialists came and told Gambian people, ignore your constitution. Don't go to the Supreme Court. He must go. Look who's taking all our resources now. And they're hiding it on top of that. The corruption in the fisheries industry. Broad daylight fire that started in the bathroom. Of all places in the building, a fire in the fisheries department had to start in the bathroom. Broad daylight. 1 minute away is the fire station. Fire brigade, 1 minute away. The whole place burned down with all the records of the backhand deals of oil, fish deals, sorry, not oil. Behind the scenes compensations of the vessels that our Gambian Navy seized, or the Green Shepherd or the Sea Shepherd seized on behalf of Gambia government. All the money records gone. Swindling of our resources, plundering, embezzlement. Oh yeah, EU said Jammeh cannot return. The TRRC and others said Jammeh human rights record. What human rights record? EU today, France is killing terrorists, including non-terrorists. France of itself has killed innocent civilians, African civilians in France itself. Those cases are there raging. They're still killing people in Africa itself. Look at Mali now. France has killed 90 civilians. They said the UN is lying. They rejected the UN report. But those French people who go back to France, France is never going to turn them back. Oh, but the black man is sheepish, is deprived, is mentally deranged. We can tell them what we want them to hear, and then they'll implement it to the letter. When Jammeh's time is here for him to return, the EU will not stop him. He's going to return, and the EU can do nothing about it. Oh, yeah. They can't do anything about it. The whole EU thing in Gambia is France. No other country in the European Union is interested in what's happening in Gambia, is ready to suck the blood of Gambians dry. No other European country is interested. It's been France through Senegal. They have to use Senegal. Senegal implant Barrow. Barrow feeds Macky. Look, if Barrow wants to succeed, the one thing he needs to do, cut his ties with, you can't cut ties with Senegal. You have to have diplomatic relations. We have cultural relations. But cut dependency on Macky Sall. You need to ensure you show Gambian people you can run the country independently without taking orders from Senegal, without depending on Senegalese security, without depending on Senegalese maritime, without depending on anything on any other nation. We believe ourselves. Jammeh's already demonstrated that. For 22 years, his bodyguards, his department heads, his ministers, his policies, everything is for the Gambian people, carried out by Gambian people, implemented by Gambian people, enjoyed by Gambian people. But our economy is dead. They can't pay the civil servants. They can't pay the army. They cannot afford fuel to go and inoculate Gambian people, to vaccinate Gambian people. But the Minister of Health, Dr. Amadou Samate, increased his salary by 100%. He's getting his basic salary at 50% as a minister. Allowances come on top of that. But he created some new allowance tiers for himself and a few doctors and a few PhD holders in his department. The minister himself is going to get $115,000 on top of his already existing remuneration. But he's telling us that his department cannot afford fuel to go and vaccinate Gambian people. That is foreigners that are consuming the bulk of our medical drugs. Who's giving foreigners the medical drugs? Is the minister himself on drugs or something? Who makes up such an outlandish pronunciation? What on earth is wrong with Gambian so-called intellectuals? So fake, so cruel. They're killing people directly and indirectly. The same minister's department cannot afford blood bags, cannot afford to give people incentives to come and donate blood, cannot afford ambulances, cannot afford battery for ambulances, cannot afford fuel for ambulances, cannot afford oxygen for patients. Deaths at labor in the Gambia at an all-time high. Hospitals don't have water supplies. Hospitals don't have electricity supply. Hospitals don't have more than one wheelchair. Our main referral hospital. Things that didn't happen for 22 years. Hell yes. Because the Royal Victoria Hospital, now Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital, was connected to the State House standby generator. So therefore, if they didn't have electricity, Jame will know. Straight away, you'll know, oh, there's no electricity and our standby generator is not working. So therefore, the Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital will not have electricity either. But for fear of Jame, that never happened. They made sure the generators were working properly, and whenever electricity is cut, the generator kicks in automatically. There was no power outages in the Gambia except for once when Jame shut it down for security purposes. Again, because of who? The imperialists who've been trying to overthrow him since 2009, sorry. Because of oil, because of fish, and because of his stance, cultural stance, supporting 95% of his people's cultural and traditional beliefs. They want to get rid of him. Using who? His own people. We are morally bankrupt, economically bankrupt. Our economy is on its knees, growing at minus 1.5, and that's just December just gone. Maybe it's worse now. Government revenue fell from $13.5 billion to $10 billion earlier this year. Last year, it went down to $11 billion. So where is the extra $2.5 billion going? Into people's pockets. Civil servants who will earn nothing more than $100,000 a year are building $10 million mansions right now. We saw people taking government medicine, paracetamol from government stores to their own private pharmacies. There's no functioning MRI scanner in the Gambia right as of 2 weeks ago. I don't know whether they replaced it now. There were 2 that Jame left, brand spanking new ones. They've gone. The last one that was at Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital had a problem a few weeks ago. So you cannot have any MRI scans in Gambia anymore. The Minister of Health increased his salary by 100%, but he can't get MRI scanner repaired or replaced. He can't find fuel to vaccinate Gambian people. Drugs run out. They don't have paracetamol of all medicines. The most basic of medicines that they sell for 50p, 20p in the UK for a pack of 6, 20p. Paracetamol, there's none in the general medical store in the Gambia. Not a single packet of paracetamol. The one that was donated by Samaritans, we saw them stealing it on wheelbarrows, taking it to a private pharmacy somewhere. The health minister himself has got pharmacies. Yes, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Apparently, he had a pharmacy a long time ago, even before he became a minister. But apparently, he's expanded it round about Coastal Road and he's opened another pharmacy there, according to my sources. The same Dr. Amadou Samate is blocking everyone he's not from the medical background in the Ministry of Health. So people on the same grade, pay grade in his ministry, public health officers and medical doctors, he's increased the medical doctors one and himself, but not the public health officers who are on the same level. He's ignored the director of health promotion and health protection. He's ignored him. He didn't increase his salary. He increased his own one and a few doctors and PhD holders. But anyone that came from the public health background, who are the most important people in a pandemic or in an epidemic, public health officers are the most important people in any epidemic or pandemic because they meet the public on a day-to-day basis. They spread the information. They educate people. They are at the front line, catching the disease, dying from it. He sidelined all those people. In fact, one of his planners in his department, the planning and information managing director, he's shifted that person to Barra now, North Bank region, because that guy stood his ground and told him the truth about the increment of pay and about the embezzlement of the COVID funds. He's taking that director of planning and information, who's been in that department for a long time, who's been the backbone of that department when it comes to planning and information coming from the Ministry of Health. Because that guy stood his ground when it came to embezzlement of COVID funds, when it came to these salary increases, he's taken that guy and moved him out. Apparently, if you stand your ground against that Dr. Samate, you get kicked out in the earliest time possible, or you get sidelined. I'm not going to go into education department. I'm not going to go into security department. You see what I told them a few weeks ago on Binto Bantaba Network, something that I've been saying for 2 years, to introduce security, high joint security patrols in our street to cut the crime rate. Now I've seen the Deputy Inspector General of Police or the Acting Inspector General of Police. They're going to start joint security patrols of our street to cut the crime rate that was destroying our livelihoods, our economies, and killing people on a daily basis. Just yesterday, a body was found in Buyam, in the woods, killed, decomposing, destroyed. They couldn't even recognize this person. And this is a daily occurrence. Every day, 2-3 people murdered or died mysteriously. Every single day. Deaths in hospitals can't be counted. Hospitals are places to go and die with dignity these days, rather than go there and seek a solution or a cure to your problems. What is going on? Barrow is there. He's not clamping down. The poor Barrow doesn't know. The man hasn't got capacity. I won't blame him much. Yes, the buck always stops with the president. I'm sure most of you wanted me to talk about TRRC, but I'm not going to talk about TRRC. I made that legal argument a long time ago. In any civilized judiciary, jurisprudence, you call it what? You cannot take an enemy to sit over an enemy's case. It never happens. But let me go back. Economic bankruptcy and moral bankruptcy. The black man, wake up. This is an entire African problem. It's not just Gambia. Wake up. Stop being dictated to. Stop being told what to do against your brother. Time we woke up. Time we stopped some of these things. When Jammeh wants to come back or is ready to come back, nobody's going to stop him. Barrow is not going to stop him. Barrow is failing because of the people around him. If they stood up and said to Barrow, let's do this the right way, he will succeed. Despite his lack of capacity, he will succeed. I told you before, in 2019, the people around Barrow, they don't have ethos, that work ethic. They don't have it. These people don't care. They came to enrich themselves and disappear. Some of them have already started planning their exit routes. They're stealing so much, buying houses in Senegal and United Kingdom and US. When it all disintegrates, they're going to run away. They're planning their exit routes. I told you this before. They're not interested in changing the lives of Gambians. But one thing I'll be happy with is to see the joint security patrols in our streets. Let them give the army, police, paramilitary loads of vehicles enough equipment. Let them deal with these criminals. We cannot allow our country from how safe it was before 2016 or before 2017, man, woman, old or young, black or white can walk Gambian streets 1 a.m., 2 a.m. before 2017 with no problems. People are not going to mug you. Now, even in broad daylight in downtown Gambia, in front of police stations, in front of big buildings, people will come and take 1.5 million from you. People will come and take 250,000 from you. Somebody will jump on you and take your phone. Somebody will jump on you and put a knife on your throat. I want your flat screen TV. I want your mobile phone and every single bit of coins or cash you have in your property. And nothing is going to happen to it. The police want to chase criminals. They have to borrow taxi drivers' vehicles, or Samaritans have to provide them the vehicles to be able to chase the criminals. What state is that? But Barrow is dishing out vehicles to his new political appointees like confetti. He's giving them vehicles left, right, and center. But he cannot give the vehicles to the police to track the crime rates. Every single day, murder, 1, 2, 3 in our streets because no one cares. People are not afraid of the law anymore. There are no repercussions for stupid acts. People do things blatantly. They don't care. There's no justice. There's no equality before the law. They only clamp down on the people they don't like the fake WhatsApp plot to overthrow Barrow. The fake junglers who've been detained for 5 years with no charges, and they're still detaining them. Gambian citizens detained for 5 years with no charges, and they're still sitting in the military barracks. They have no freedom. The fake WhatsApp plot, now they've thrown all those charges out. There's no plot to overthrow the government. The NIA 7 used to be NIA 9. They killed one in prison. One has been released under dubious circumstances. Now the 7 are facing trials before a judge who's been accused of all kinds of legal violations, principles of law, criminal procedure codes, been blatantly disregarded by the High Court judge, according to the report on Foria, and based on the account of the lawyer representing the NIA 7, the lawyers representing NIA 7. The High Court judge is ignoring a lot of criminal procedure rules. In Gambia, they call it codes. In the UK, there are rules. Oh, but they can get away with it because obviously the people they're doing it against are not connected. You see why I kept saying we must not allow the law to change, because the person the law is dealing with at that particular time, in real time, is somebody we don't like. We must stand up when it's wrong and go against it and highlight it and stop it. And we must stand up when it's good and commend it and try and do better. That's what a nation of patriots are doing. That's what Senegal is good at. When it's wrong, they stand up in their masses and fight against it. And indeed, we've seen a demonstration of that in March when Macky Sall came up with trumped-up charges, whether they're true or not, against Sonko for rape. A rape case that is now looking more like a clown circus, comic. The girl herself cannot confirm whether she was raped. All she kept on insinuating is that there was an affair. When Senegalese people got up in their thousands, what happened? Macky Sall released Sonko. Macky Sall, at the moment, the charges are on ice. Gambian people don't know when it's time for it to be Gambian, not UDP, not APRC, not DOI, not GDC, not other parties. Gambian people don't know when it's time to ditch party colors and come out as Gambians. The time is now. The time is now to be Gambian. EU must shut up. We don't care what the EU is saying. They can carry on stealing our face. 3 million euros we're going to get in 6 years. They'll probably make €500 million in those 6 years because we can't police our waters. They'll get the oil. We don't know whether they're getting the oil out. They will leave our security stuff in our country so that if we want to move, Senegal can just neutralize us so they can continue exploiting us. They can screw us from the back all they want. We will continue fighting for our country until the day we have a Gambian president again, a patriotic president, the one that fights for the underdog, the one that fights for the rights and situations, conditions of Gambian people. That day is coming, and it's coming soon. Like I said to you before, Barrow can still succeed. I said this since 2019. He can succeed. but not with the deadwood he has surrounding him right now. They're hopeless. They're worthless. They are only after their own pockets, how much they can get, because they know Barrow lacks capacity. Let's suppose there were 6, 7 people with the culture of hard work, like we had in APRC, or APRC ministers going to help Barrow. 6, 7 ministers. All this nonsense that's happening to Gambian people is going to stop, because the APRC is in charge of the defense or interior ministry or the defense ministry. A lot of this petty crime in the street is going to stop within the space of weeks. The Gambia College will not be struggling financially. The University of the Gambia will not be struggling financially. Our territory will not be encroached, will not be interfered with. Because we've demonstrated that for 22 years, using our own Gambian people, trusting our own Gambian security. We trained them, we trusted them, we kept them, and they were willing to put their noses on the line for the Gambian people, and they demonstrated it. Every time insurgents attacked Gambia, they dealt with them mercilessly. Barrow could have done the same. They kept blaming Jammeh for being like that. No, these people were defending Gambia, and they would have defended Gambia under Barrow. But Barrow got told, your own citizens, Gambian citizens, are not good. The army is not good. The paramilitary are not good. Don't trust them. They'll overthrow you. That's the game the Senegalese played in his head so much, he trusted them. His bodyguards are Senegalese. Our entire security is Senegalese. We have no longer got state secrets or anything like that. We are doomed, dead. Anyway, I promised to stay just for an hour. I've gone beyond an hour now. I'm going to end this here. My intention to come regularly. Unfortunately, I started a new job towards the end of January. It's been intense. It's been busy, extremely busy, and I'm not lying. It's been extremely busy over the last 2 months. I barely have time to interact anyway. Those of you who talk to me on a daily basis, you know for a fact. Now you send me a message, it takes me long to reply. That's because I'm trying to set my roots in this particular field I'm working in now. I want to make an impression. I want to get somewhere. I want to learn fast. So again, if you become a trainee, that's what they do. They pile every single thing on you. It's constant. The minute you get into the office at 9 a.m., it's non-stop until the job closes at 5:30. So I'll see what I can do to come in now and again, because I think we need to talk to each other more now, especially as the elections near. If not, our country is sliding. We're already in trouble economically, security-wise. We are in serious trouble. What we now need to do is dig in and dig ourselves out. That's what we need to do from now on. And thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to end this live now. I'll come back again as often as I possibly can. We need to sort this out. There has to be change. Either Barrow goes and we replace him with another person who's patriotic and fights for the underdog, the average person, the average Joe, or Barrow changes his direction completely. Something needs to change. But I've seen signs of at least trying to tackle the crime rates. Whether he's going to be able to tackle corruption, that's highly doubtful, because Barrow wants the World Health, the World Bank or the UN, I can't remember. He wants the Tubab to come and save us, to come and deal with Gambians who are corrupting his government. I saw the headline. Is it the World Bank or the UN he wanted to come in and help us fight corruption? I can't remember, but you guys know the newspaper headlines have been out there. The man cannot fight corruption. He's trying to fight crime. I hope he'll muster the courage and the energy to fight corruption, because that's what's killing the Gambia today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I'll come back again as often as I possibly can. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Good night.